Let's see what happens.
We couldn't click on this?
No.
We are live. So go back to home. Steve, go back to home.
Right there.
Live now, click on it. Oh my God, let's see what happens.
Get a picture of the screen?
Oh my goodness. And I think we're gonna get picture in picture in picture, right? I'm gonna.
I think you don't need the microphone.
Everyone's gonna have to turn their volume off.
Yeah, if you guys
Because
are.
otherwise I hear him talking through my phone.
Who's got it on?
Turn your volume down.
Wait, I think he's coming out of this.
I don't know. It is.
It's coming out of this. The
Could
projector.
be. Is there volume on
Yeah,
there?
there's a
remote
microphone
Yeah,
in
there's a
there.
built-in speaker. You can use the volume control. Just turn down the volume.
Yeah.
Do that.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, that is bizarre.
Are we playing
How
your
is it?
video or?
Okay, we're gonna hear it. Can you guys hear me when I turn out? Yeah, okay, all right. All right, so actually, and this is live, so I'm not looking at the screen. All right, I'm gonna just introduce us here. So,
Well, there's a
There you go.
delay. There must be a
Delay.
5
Oh my
second
goodness.
delay in there.
Are you doing announcements now or no?
yeah, just a minute. I will.
Oh.
Welcome, everyone. This is the Golden Gate Computer Society General Meeting. We have this meeting on the fourth Monday of the month, and we are going live on YouTube. So hopefully this will work out. We do have a few announcements, and first one was all about YouTube, which we already kind of talked about. We also have another really, really big event coming up. My favorite event is the Golden Gate Computer Society Yearly Barbecue. Do you want to talk about that? Come on, Shirley. Come on.
There's
Now
about a
live,
four,
right?
there's about a 4 second delay, you know.
It's about 6
Oh,
Well, you know what?
right.
And it's also.
Yeah, next month, on July 28th, is our annual barbecue. And I sent out flyers, and everyone got a flyer in the mail. Almost everyone did. Did you get one? Did everyone get one? If you didn't, I have some here. If you already signed up or you're on the board, you did not get a flyer in the mail. I'll have these flyers on the back table. You feel free to pick one up. It's $5 per person, same price as last year. And it's at the Miwok Park in Novato. And that's it. And it's July 28th, which is on a Sunday, from 11 to 2 p.m. We look forward to having everyone there. Thank you. Okay, Mars, who's next?
Yeah.
Barbara.
Oh. Hi, I'm Barbara Hansen, former vice president of the Golden Gate Computer Society. We're looking for a replacement after 3 years. I have 3 announcements to make. Our next meeting here, the general meeting, will be July 22nd.
Can you get another camera?
Yeah. No, it's.
Where's the camera? We're new to this. The county DA office is going to send a speaker about consumer protection. So he'll be talking to us about ways to protect ourselves from whether, I don't know, he'll explain it all. The next announcement is our camera SIG will be held in July. It's always the 3rd Wednesday of every month. It's July 17. And John Nygren, who is here right now, is going to be our speaker. He's going to be talking about different ways to save your film, digital film, when you're on a trip and you're away from your computer at home. There's several ways you can do that. So he'll be discussing that for us. That's at 1:30, 3rd Wednesday of every month. My third announcement is the tablet SIG, which is usually every month on the 3rd Friday, will not be held for the next 2 months. So there'll be no July and no August meeting for the camera tablet SIG. Tonight, we have a speaker who's a longtime member of our community, and he always sits up here and runs the computer, James Gafford. And he's going to talk to us about ways to take notes on your computer and 2 different programs, eNote and Evernote, for keeping track of all your interesting things that you want to note about. Great, James.
Thank you. Am I on the speaker here? It sounds like I am. So, okay, so one thing I gotta warn you about tonight is that there's gonna be an awful lot of unplugging and plugging cables, so that's gonna be the comic relief moments. And this is just way too much fun to play with, so I gotta do an experiment here, so. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. 11-second delay on the video, so. So that was fun. Steve, Shane called me a couple of months ago and said, would you give the talk in, was this June, about taking notes on your computer? And I said, yeah, sure, great, love to. And then I started going looking and trying to prepare and realized that I really didn't know very much about that. So I started doing some research, and I've got a presentation to show you tonight and talk about the subject. And of course, as all good presentations, it should start with a PowerPoint slideshow. And are we up there? There we go. So, note taking in the 21st century is the title here. So first of all, how many people take notes? Everybody does? Most people. Chip, maybe we could have a little bit more light in the room. I'll do it. Okay. So, you know, I like to play with PowerPoint among other things. That's a little word that way. So traditionally we keep track, I'm referring to what we take notes with for ad hoc information. In other words, something you want to write down in the moment for a specific purpose. And it may be an immediate thing or a next hour thing like a shopping list, or maybe something you want to, somebody's phone number who you just met. Could be anything you want to keep track of. In the computer age, somebody might tell you, oh, I saw this really interesting web page, and you know, and here's the URL for it, and those things are impossible to keep track of and write down. But in the long, traditionally and historically rather, you know, we've done this basically on paper with pen. And so we're all familiar. I don't think there's anybody, in my Excel classes that I teach, I hold up an accountant spreadsheet pad, and I can tell who's part of what generation by who recognizes what it is. So there's nobody, no offense or anything, but I don't think there's anybody here who would fail to recognize an accountant spreadsheet pad, any one of these things. And of course, the key thing to take note of this day and age is that now, whatever it is you want to do, there's an app for that. So, so I want to talk about tonight, and I don't expect this is going to take the full hour and a half at all. So, which means that kind of when we get done with the discussing the subject here, I'll be perfectly happy to answer questions on pretty much any topic you want as far as computer stuff is concerned. And if I can't answer, I'll say, who knows the answer, and maybe very well. But I put this little spreadsheet together, or this little chart together here, with the idea in mind of just kind of, this is sort of a toe in the water thing. If you do a search on your phone, on the iPhone, at the Apple Store, or on an Android phone at the Play Store for note-taking apps, you'll find hundreds. Just pretty much like any subject matter you do a search for apps, you'll find tons of them, pretty much. And so the thought occurred to me that what might be best as a kind of a toe in the water approach here would be to talk about things that are probably some of the most immediately available kind of things you have. So I brought with me my laptop. This is my old laptop computer, not my new one. I don't want anybody to see what's on my new one. That's just too frightening. I have a tablet computer here. I also have an Android phone. And I have an iPhone that's a really, really old one. And it's so old that we don't have any hardware to hook it up to show its screen. So I have Nicole over here has volunteered to be my Vanna White for the iPhone part of this. So I'm going to take the, so here's the first time we're doing the comic relief part. And have her plug in her phone, and there's an app that comes on pretty much on every iPhone. And of course, with newer phones, it goes through version changes and whatnot, but it's called Apple Notes. And she's going to demonstrate it here as soon as the video comes up.
It's not clicking.
There we go.
It's just like.
Okay, so this is a note-taking app. Can you go back to your home screen and just show the icon for it's this little thing says notes, and it's the orange or the yellow at the top, and then the lines, and you tap that, of course, and you come to notes. And she's got a whole bunch of notes in her phone already, but if you want to create a new note, there's a
It's not there.
there's a new
You have
folder.
to- Well, first you have to decide where you want it to be stored.
Yeah, so she's got folders that she keeps notes in. That's probably a good idea to
I'll
keep
just
things
do it on my
organized.
phone.
You'll find this paradigm of organizational, hierarchical organization. So notebooks and tabs and pages, or notebooks and folders and something along those lines, and pretty much all these note-taking apps. And so you can tap new note there and make a note about how great James Gafford is as a lecturer. No, Gafford, sorry. There you go. And then there's a done button up there that allows her to save the note. And it is saved in the folder that you started with, which was, I missed which one it was.
Oh, it's just on my phone
Yeah, so it's just on my phone.
as opposed to on the cloud.
Yeah, and so, like all Apple home-baked apps, this one will sync to your cloud account with your iPhone. But I don't know much about how well it communicates outside of the Apple setting. But for just taking quick notes or for writing a shopping list, it's a perfectly good thing, and it's on every iPhone. So there you are. There you are. Now, okay, so I'll take the HDMI now and do another magic cable swap here. And this is my old Android phone, not my current one. The reason it's that, as soon as this comes up here. Again, this is the comic relief part. Okay. And a note on here is that this was working earlier. Trust me.
Things are slow.
Huh?
These are slow to, it took a while for mine to connect.
Yeah. There are tons of Android apps to do anything, including note-taking. But this happens to be a Samsung phone. It's my old Samsung smartphone. It's a Note 4. And I replaced it about a year and a half ago with an Edge 7, which I like both phones, but this phone in particular I like. So I'm vamping so that hopefully the video will come up here so I can demonstrate this. The Note, a series of phones from Samsung, have a little stylus built into it. It's got a little slot that the stylus slides into. And you can use this to do handwriting and write things directly on your phone. Problem is, though, in order for that to work, you have to have an app on there that knows how to. The screen itself is touch sensitive, of course. And I'm kind of not getting anywhere here.
You want to try my phone? I have a Samsung Notes here.
Yeah, but that's a USB-C port. Is
Oh,
that USB-C or
No, it's
micro?
a micro USB.
yeah, nice to see.
Jed,
Check.
need some help with the video, with the HDMI here.
So do we need, plug that into some other video source without the dongle? Plug it back in your laptop. Let's see if we're getting that.
Help. Press the
Yeah, we're
help
getting
button.
Nothing on there?
Yeah,
So
press the help button.
So there's something wrong
what
with
help
that.
button? No source. Let me just try to change the
Yeah,
source.
Apple did it in.
It's looking for it. Hang on.
Oh,
Well, the laptop thinks it's talking to the HDMI.
Yeah, the projector's not.
So here comes. Let Chip get it.
Yes, it's-
yeah, I already checked that.
I could dance with that.
yeah, that would be good. You're online.
For that. See, we're not getting.
Yeah, there's an app for
No,
dancing.
we're not
There
getting
are
signal
actually.
activity.
I think we're not.
James, did you switch for, to mirror your screen? Because we're not getting any video over here.
Press the diamond to select.
Now I've got to duplicate.
You have duplicate on?
Well, let's try Miracast. Could you cast your screen to this? See if this, take a bit, couple seconds to warm this up, I think.
Yeah, but Miracast with his phone?
Yeah. Got a Samsung phone, should do it.
He's not hooked up to the phone right now.
James,
I'm not hooked up to my laptop. The HDMI 's hooked up to
Here it comes. Okay, connect to that signal, James.
The Miracast.
Okay, you know how to run Veracast off like this?
Yeah, that'd be, if you project your signal.
Where am I going here?
I'll do it on here. Oh, there. That works too. How old is this computer?
It's all, let's go. Just updated Windows last night. So,
I don't know if it has a Miracast
I don't think so.
radio.
Go back to the,
Go back to Scroover.
go back to the.
Okay.
the HDMI input.
Right here. Yep.
There we go.
Hey, bingo.
Okay, now it's working. So,
Yeah, but
and now I'm gonna try to switch back.
now
to the
switch
phone.
it to, yeah, now switch it there. With any luck.
Yeah, with any luck.
There we
All
go.
right, hey, there we are. All right. So, the Note series of phones from Samsung, like I say, come with this little stylus. And they also have their own Samsung created app. The one that's on, since this is an old phone, this is an old version of this app. But back when I was using this phone a couple of years ago, I did a lot of note taking on here. So this particular app, I actually took notes at GGCS meetings more than once. And so I can add individual pages here by tapping this little plus button that's down at the very bottom here. And so today's 2019, 06, 24, James Gafford. And I'm just writing on this. I can read that, can you? On note taking apps. Yeah, whatever you want to do. And this is very handy this is as handy as having a notepad in your pocket, a little spiral notepad and a pen, and being able to take a note on the spot. So you go to Costco and I really want to buy that brand of scuba tank, but so let me write it down and when the price goes off and so forth. And this is native to the Samsung phones, but I believe it's also available on the Android App Store, the Play Store. And so you can actually use it on other phones as well. I can use it, I can actually write on it with my fingertip, because again, this is a touch screen. So I can write. Actually, I have to change it from the pen to now it's just a regular finger touchscreen. So your regular Android touchscreen phone would work with this app just fine. And it organizes your notes into little notebooks. And so that's what you see here. And like I said, at the time I was taking notes, I transferred all these to my new phone. There's a slight newer version of the app. So actually I had some of John King's things he talked about. And I can read that perfectly fine. I don't know about you. But anyway, this is on here on the phone, and it is available to other Android phones, but it's really designed specifically to work with the stylus on the Android phones. I suspect that if you have another brand of phone that also has a stylus, it would probably work on that as well.
James, question?
Sure.
Can you send those notes?
From the Samsung app. Let's see here. Yeah, there's a, I have to get the screen up here. So you notice at the very top, if I swipe down from or if I tap on the top, near the top of the note, there's a little menu that pops down. Edit allows me to change or add things. And there's a button there that says share. And this is pretty much, and which pages do I want to share? I'll share that first one. And tap share, and then I can save it. If I send it as an S note file, then that's going to be something specific to this app. But I can send it as, this app allows me to send it as essentially as an image. So it'd be just like sending a picture through either text or through email on your phone. And that's what, so if I make a JPEG out of it, that's what it does. Essentially it takes a screenshot, and then it allows me to pick which app I want to use to send it. So the answer to your question is yes, it can be shared. Not in a form that's necessarily going to be easily editable by whoever the recipient is. So that's kind of the Samsung Notes app. And I'm going to come back to the phone a little bit later when I get to talking about the apps that are kind of the big players in this game these days. And if at any point anybody has any questions, by all means, just raise your hand, interrupt, or holler at me if I'm not looking at you. So back here with the PowerPoint slideshow. So there are, I don't know how many other Note apps there are on iOS or on Android, but I'm sure I know there are tons on Android because I don't have an iPhone, so I can't look there. I have to ask my wife. I think she's watching actually. Hi, sweetie. So, the next one I kind of want to talk about, this is kind of an interesting little thing that's comes with Windows 10. And I believe there's a similar app on the Mac as well. And it's called the snipping tool. And anything you can see on your screen, it can essentially take a picture of. So if I open a web page, if I go to this really fantastic web page called jamesgafford.com, and I put a new, well, first of all, I got pictures from our wedding on here, so those are really cool to look at, I think. I got a page I put up here a couple of weeks ago, a story about when I was a midshipman at the Naval Academy, and me and my buddy Ray Trigstad we were on a trip and we got to meet Gene Roddenberry. It was very cool. And in February of this year, I was cleaning out a storage room and I came across a bunch of 35mm black and white negatives that I shot on that trip. That was in 1976. I thought, oh my God. And so I got a hold of a scanner that would scan them and enlarge them. And then I added this page to my website that allows you to look at these pictures. Well, this app is not really set up well to, you can look at it, but it's really hard to download it the way you ordinarily can from a website. I'm sure. Why isn't that showing?
Presentation board,
yeah, I think you're right. So again, technical issues rule the day. Now extend, we want to duplicate the displays. Here we go. Ah, we got it.
How'd you do that?
Well, I did it on the computer here. What did you?
How do you take a snapshot?
Okay, so
It's a good question. I can't remember. What I don't know. I have no idea.
The snipping tool.
How do you take a picture?
hang on just a moment here.
Or maybe here. Sure. No, that's-
I'm still not. Hang on just a moment. I still need to get this adjusted. Okay, so now back to the web page. All right, sorry for the delay. So I added to my web page this little subordinate page where I have these pictures that I took at this Star Trek convention that we went to, where we got to meet Gene Roddenberry. And like I said, this app is not really set up well to, or the webpage rather is not set up well to for people to download the pictures, but with the snipping tool, anything you can see on the screen, and you get to it by clicking on the start button down here in the lower left corner, and just type the word snip, and the choice that comes up here is snipping tool, and it's not going to let me see. So this is what the snipping app looks like. It's just this little teeny window here. And I can bring it to the front like that. And if I click on the button here that says new, it'll allow me just to click and drag across and take a snapshot. And now it will save this as a JPEG. And you can also annotate it by,
How do you take a snapshot?
I'm sorry?
How do you take a snapshot?
You just did.
By clicking the new button, this button right here, on the snipping tool app. And
You have to have a snipping tool app.
yeah, this is something that's specific to Windows, and I believe there's a similar app on the Mac OS.
Yeah.
A snapshot app, screenshot. Basically, it's for taking screenshots.
Yeah.
So if you want to document a web page or remember it, this thing will allow you to save this file as an image file, as a PNG or a GIF or a JPEG, and it can also save it as an HTML, which is the kind of file that creates web pages.
Does it save it automatically to a location like pink box?
It doesn't save it. You have to tell it where you want it to save it. So you can also annotate the pictures by, it has a pen in here that allows you to draw, essentially draw on your
And this way.
snipped image here,
Share it.
and you can change the color of the pen. So I'm going to use a yellow pen here just because it'll be a little more visible on the black and white photo. So Klingons have really big ears, as you can see there. And then, like I said, this app will let you save this image, or it'll also let you send it. So there's a send to and email recipient. So again, this is a Windows-only app, but like I said, I'm pretty sure there's something similar on the Macintosh. So this is another way to kind of keep track of ad hoc information. It's much more computer-centric, though, and computer 21st century centric. It's not really, doesn't really totally fit the paradigm of taking notes on a sheet of paper for something that you just need to remember for a short period of time. And I'm trying to get this back to what it's supposed to be again.
James,
Yes, ma'am.
can you send the picture to your notes,
Yes. To which now?
to your Samsung notes and any?
Not directly. The Windows snipping tool only knows how to send to an email.
Okay.
Send to an email recipient. Okay, so all right. Any questions at this point? So we'll go back now to the PowerPoint slideshow, which I think I closed down when I was trying to get the video straightened out. So in the research I did, one of the things I looked at was Google search. Or actually, this is an aside. I don't actually use Google anymore for my search engine. I use a thing called, believe it or not, it's called DuckDuckGo. And if you kind of don't trust Google, which I am not convinced anybody should, hopefully they're not listening to this podcast. Or this videocast.
Okay, James.
But doing a search for note-taking apps. I did a DuckDuckGo works exactly the same way Google search does, except they don't save your search data and then share it with advertisers. So note-taking apps, and I found 3 pages, 3 right at the top. Best note-taking apps of 2019. That's from PC Magazine's website. 10 best note-taking apps of your life, personal or professional. This is on something called LifeWire. 8 best note-taking apps of 2019. So everybody's got opinions about what the best apps are, but invariably, or almost invariably, it seems like the top 2 that come up are a thing called Evernote and another one called OneNote. So this guy here likes Evernote, and he likes, well, OneNote's on here someplace. And I think the PC Magazine one had those 2 right at the top of the list also, if I remember correctly. And so Evernote and OneNote are the top 2 on their list as well. So what are these programs? Both of these are started off their lives as programs for doing essentially what you just saw us doing on the phones and in an ad hoc way on the computer. But they have both grown and expanded to be quite a bit more than they were to begin with. Evernote is a separate company. It's not owned by anybody, although there have been rumors running around for a while that Google might be buying them. And nobody said yes or no on that. The hint that everybody looks at is that when you go to the Evernote login page on a web browser, you can log in directly to an account that you create there, or you can log in through Google. Okay, so that's the hint. Microsoft OneNote, the Microsoft is the key word there. OneNote is a program that's actually part of the Microsoft Office suite of applications. And both of these are really good for keeping track of, if you do something more than just wanting to keep track of, writing down a shopping list before you go to the store, or jotting down somebody's phone number who you just met, or jotting down the name of a website that somebody just told you about. You have a lot of information that you gather regularly, and you want to keep it organized. Both of these apps look like really good choices to do that. Evernote has both, I should have put a check mark here, it has both a free and a paid version. Obviously, the disadvantage of the free version is it's not going to have as many features, it's not going to be able to do as much. OneNote, again, I forgot the check marks here. OneNote has, it's part of the Microsoft Office suite of apps, and so if you have Microsoft Office, and these days that's an Office 365 subscription, typically. If you have that, you have OneNote because it comes with it. It's one of the included apps, regardless whether it's just the home and student, or whether it's the Office Professional or what have you. But interestingly, Microsoft's made available versions of all the main Microsoft Office apps, including OneNote, for free, available for free on your smartphone. Now they don't have as much functionality. They don't do as much as so. For example, Microsoft Word on your smartphone. First of all, it's hard to imagine typing a letter-sized document on a smartphone, but you can do it. And Excel perhaps makes a little more sense there because the screen is really small, but you can still type stuff into cells on an Excel spreadsheet. And that version of those versions of those apps are at no charge. Currently, I don't know if Microsoft's ever planning to start charging for them through the App Store, but my understanding right now is that their intent is to get you hooked on using Microsoft Office apps, and then I really want to use this in its full capacity, which means you're going to subscribe to Office 365 and you're going to use it on your computer. So one of the key things that both of these apps do that none of these others really have to anywhere comparably to the same degree are the information is basically stored in the cloud, and if you have more than one device, you can synchronize the information from one device to another, and it happens automatically through the cloud. All you got to do is have the app up and running. So that's kind of what I want to demonstrate. Again, this isn't to teach you how to use the apps, it's just to give you a little toe in the water sense and flavor of what can be done. So with Evernote, with Evernote, you set up an account on online on their website, and then once you have that account set up, which I do here, you can log in through the website. And at first glance, I found this user interface of theirs a little confusing. Yes, my email address is still blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it took me a while to kind of work my way through what are all these icons over on the left here do, and what am I looking at physically here. This thing scrolls. And it turns out that both Evernote and OneNote have ways of arranging information hierarchically. And Evernote calls the top level of their organization notebooks. And I can't remember where it is now. So right now I've got 2 notebooks on my, and a trash notebook, which kind of sort of sounds like an oxymoron to me. But I've got 2 notebooks on my Evernote account here, and I'm using, this is the free account, I haven't paid for anything, so I have the limited functionality, but it's more than enough to demonstrate some of the things you can do. The My Notebook is one that's there when you first create the account. And OneNote does essentially the same thing, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. The idea here is they put together a notebook called My Notebook, as shown right here. And they've got links and then the notebook, the individual notebook has pages. So there's or notes, I'm sorry. And the terminology changes from one app to another. Here it's notebooks and notes. And as we'll see in OneNote, it's, we'll get there. So there are several notes here already included in this sample startup notebook that are intended to give you tutorial information about how to use the app. And I've gone through a couple of these just in a hurry, just to kind of take a quick look. But you see, there's a fair amount of information here about organizing stuff. And sharing is another thing you can do. So they show you how to do that. The wonder of attachments, the joy of web clipping. Evernote has this. It's actually not directly part of the Evernote app, but it's an add-on to your web browser that allows you to do a whole lot better job of capturing web content up from a web page and saving it into one of your Evernote notebooks than something like the window snipping tool would do. And so you actually download that separately to, and I don't think you have to pay for that, but it downloads and installs as part of your browser. I'm using Firefox, and I believe they have, it senses what browser you're using, so it downloads the right add-on to your browser. It's actually a browser add-on, and installs it. And you can do so without paying for that, but then it doesn't really make much sense to have that because it's not really useful or functional unless you've also got an Evernote app for it to deliver stuff to. So if I'm going to a web page now, they're cool when I was looking at before. And this time I'm going to, I hope my wife's okay with this, but I'm going to show you some of our wedding pictures. So we've just been married a little over 3 years. So you can see you got a lot of cool pictures here.
How long ago?
A little over 3 years ago, May 12th. So that's my favorite one. And so I've got this. Where did it go? Right here, there's a little Evernote symbol is an elephant. The idea, the metaphor being that the Evernote can remember everything for you. And so when this browser add-on got installed, there was this little button that got put up here on the upper right here on the toolbar. It says click to Evernote, and I click that, and it asks me what do I want to save. Article, simplified article, screenshot. And where do I want it to go? I want it to go to, well, actually, I think before I do that, I'm going to go back here to my web Evernote app, and I'm going to create a new notebook for the purpose of documenting stuff that goes on tonight at my little talk. And so I'll create a notebook. I'm going to call it, actually, I'm going to click this little plus sign up here that says create a new notebook. And title always wants a title, so James's at GGCS. Read the notebook. Okay, so now if I'm going back over here looking at my buddy pictures. I want to save to, I can pick which of my notebooks I want to go. Well, let's see, why didn't it come up there? Oh, refresh the list, that's a good idea. So there it is, James' presentation, that's where I want this thing to go, so I'm going to take a screenshot. And so I can either click to get the whole screen or I can just drag, get that part. Now this picture is, save it. And I go back here to the, and this add-in to Firefox actually gives me the option to share it as well. Evernote's really big on sharing and collaboration. We've got all kinds of tools built in to do that. And so now if I, yes, and lots of verification. And what I found in just playing and experimenting with Evernote, one of the things I found is it takes a little while sometimes for it to synchronize fully. So, but one of the interesting things about it is that in addition to the web page, they also actually have a Windows and a Macintosh app that you download directly onto your computer, so that you run as an app on the computer. And the version that they have for the smartphones is, I wonder if we're running into technical. Oh, this is getting frustrating.
Doesn't like the switch over.
It doesn't, there we go.
There it goes.
There we go, okay. So you see I've got an Evernote icon here on this phone. And when I launch this, I've got similar choices here, but the user interface is significantly different on the phone than it would have been on the computer. And one of the things that it appears you have to do manually is hit the sync button here to make things synchronize. So,
Oh, there it comes.
so and you notice that at the top of the list of notebooks here, the James's presentation, and there's the thing I just clipped and sent to my notebook from a web page. In addition to just simply clicking and sharing, or clipping and saving images from a web page, you can also save web content. Let's see if this goes. So I'm going to minimize the browser window here. I'm actually going to open the Evernote app on the laptop here. And here again we have similar user interface here. So there's so that's the note that I just sent over there. But from the web browser, if I'm doing when I was doing research for coming and giving this presentation, so I thought, wouldn't it be nice to be able to just capture all this information right here, these first 4 search results, and save them in a way that I could also get back to them. And so one of the things I tried, and this actually worked pretty well, was to highlight some things by selecting by just clicking and dragging. So I just want to capture that web content using Evernote, which I can do by clicking the Evernote button now on the browser. And by default, it selects selection. And I click save. And it's clipping that web page, and now it's saved it to the note-taking app's notebook in here. And this always takes a couple of moments to sync, but we'll see that appear here momentarily. And so just to kind of show you what it looks like. I did this earlier. This is what the same little exercise I just did resulted in a couple of days ago when I was putting this together. And this is a capture of essentially a snapshot of that web page, but the links are live. So if I was to click, I'm now not in my web browser, I'm in the Evernote app on the computer. But the link is live, so, and it will take me to that page, just as though I were clicking it. So I don't have to keep the web browser open, I don't have to, the stuff that's particularly of interest to me that's on the web, I can capture that, including links, and save it in a way where I have it handy on any device that I've got hooked up on my Evernote account. It's kind of cool. And the range of types of information you can save: pictures, web links, text, documents, pretty much anything that can be stored on your computer can be saved and included in an Evernote notebook, and then shared amongst your various devices, and also at your discretion shared with other people, whether or not they have I think I'm not absolutely certain whether or not it'll share with people that don't have an Evernote account, but if they do, that's obviously a plus, makes it easier for the sharing to go on. Yes.
Is there anything you've shown us in the free version?
Yes, everything I'm running right now is the free version, and it does have some limitations. And I'll actually hold that thought, because I'm going back to that subject after I manage not to trip over the speaker stand and finish talking about OneNote. So any questions about Evernote at this point? Again, my purpose here isn't to go into a lot of detail, it's to kind of give you a toe in the water feel of things. Yes, ma'am.
I have trouble with their hierarchy. You just made notebook. You didn't do any pages, and I never know where I am.
So, well, maybe I should ask, before I answer your question, I should ask, is there anybody here who actually has used Evernote to any significant degree in the past? You do.
Can you repeat the question?
And the question was, you have trouble discerning the hierarchy of storage elements in Evernote. So there's notebooks, and there's notes, and there's pages, and how does all that get arranged? And Marcelino, do you have a good answer for that?
That's a tough part about Evernote, is getting that organization together.
So Marcelino's answer is that it's not an intuitive thing to grasp immediately, and I haven't used it enough. Like I say, I only just put my toe in the water to look at this in order to give the presentation.
I use a lot. I don't actually, I have a couple notebooks, but most I keep everything in one notebook.
Yeah.
And then use tags on the notes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the things that Evernote allows you to do is to put tags. It's the same basic idea that Nicole was talking about, hashtags in Facebook or in Twitter rather. You can tag notes that you create in Evernote, and they're searchable. And so Evernote, by its own claim, has very powerful search functions. So you can, if you got a lot of information and it isn't well organized, you can use the search features to go find stuff. It'll search for text, but it'll also search if you tag things. It makes it easier. As far as the hierarchy, I don't know enough about that to answer your question in a way that will help you. But another thing that you find a great deal of on the web, if you are careful and diligent about how you search for it, is tutorial information. There's probably more good tutorial information about any subject, including Evernote and OneNote and any of the Microsoft Office apps in YouTube videos. And there is just about anything. There's some terrible ones, but there's some really great ones. And so it's more a matter of just being persistent about searching and watching a few videos and finding things. Yes.
James, when you captured those different notebooks as text in Evernote, the URLs were included in that.
That's correct.
Text.
Yeah.
Will they execute if you?
Yes. The question was.
Is it an image?
The question was where I captured the web content in Evernote. Let's see if the one came through on the other notebook yet. And it hasn't. So I'll say with this one for the moment. This was a web content that I captured from that Go search. This was the top 4 search results, and you can see this sort of appears here. And also, if you pause the mouse over the button, there's the standard thing you're used to seeing with a link, and those links are active. So if I click on that link, which I just did, it actually opens a web browser page. It's supposed to, and takes me to that.
It's maybe the green line below. Yeah.
So I'll make sure. So it will actually take you back to the web page that link pointed to. So when you do the web capture, you're capturing not just the text that's on the page, which you can do by copying and pasting into Word or into Notebook or something like that. But it actually captures all the HTML, including all the active links. So, any other questions about that? Okay, let's jump over to OneNote. So as I said, OneNote is a program that is part of the Microsoft Office suite of applications. And so just like with Evernote, now one interesting thing about OneNote itself is that it's Microsoft's intent is that this program, like all the Microsoft Office apps, will work with and in conjunction with a cloud account that you have as part of your Office 365 subscription. But it's not an absolute requirement. You don't absolutely have to have a cloud account that you log into with OneNote. In fact, this particular laptop computer, I've got OneNote logged into an Office 365 account, but the rest of the computer isn't. And I don't have to do that in order to make use of OneNote. And so, just to make things more interesting now, I'm going to do another video gear switching here. And we will hope and pray that it works.
Need a hand?
No, I think I got it. So this is my beloved Windows tablet. And we'll see if the video comes up. Oh, it would help if I plugged the right cable in. I got the two computers talking about through the video. There we go. All right, so this is this was originally a Windows 8 tablet computer, and since it's a tablet computer, it has a touchscreen. It also has a stylus, and for quite a while, when coming to Golden Gate Computer Society meetings, I was using OneNote as my tool for taking notes at GGCS meetings. So I have a whole OneNote notebook here called GGCS. So in OneNote, the hierarchical organization is notebooks, and then notebooks in turn have sections, which are shown by these tabs at the top. And I've only got one tab in this particular one that I call GGCS. But an individual tab has multiple pages. So every time I came, at least up through 2015, and then there was a little bit of a break, I would take notes and I'd do it by hand. And again, that's perfectly legible to me. I don't know about anybody else.
That's pretty good.
One of the interesting things that that you can do with OneNote is actually you can capture information from other apps because OneNote installs what's called a virtual printer driver. And I'll demonstrate that here in just a moment. So first I'm going to drop down the list of notebooks here, and I'm going to say add a notebook. And I'm going to call this, since I don't have a keyboard hooked up, I have to use the virtual keyboard. And this is and tab create notebook. And you can invite people throughout all the Microsoft Office apps. They've got sharing built into them, and it's Microsoft Office app centric, but it does work. So I'm not going to invite anybody right now to include this. So one of the things that this will do is allow me, again, using the stylus, and the touchscreen here to take notes. Let's see if it recognized that. It didn't. So I'm going to erase that one. I want to show something that it does. Have to be a little more deliberate about my penmanship here. Well, you notice it changed automatically changed the title of the page here to the first thing I wrote. It automatically OCR'd. And there's a way which, I know there's a way where you can actually write some stuff by hand, and if you write it legibly and clearly enough, the app will turn that into text. You can type text. Let's see, need the keyboard. And I actually have a little keyboard. I'm not gonna worry about that now. So if I have a Microsoft Word document, tablet computers are great when everything you want to do is touch and use the stylus, but the instant you want to type something, they're almost useless. So it almost doesn't make sense to have Microsoft Word on a tablet unless you also have a keyboard. So here we go. So and my fingers are dyslexic. So Thomas Paine's favorite words. And so the thing I want to demonstrate here is that if I go to the File menu and select Print, one of the printer choices I have is down at the bottom of the list here. You have to hunt for it. It says Send to OneNote 2016. You see right there at the bottom of the printer's list? So I tap that and click Print, and it takes it a moment to do it. If I go back to, and it'll ask me which notebook do I want this to be part of. So I want to be part of the James presentation notebook.
This program doesn't take a verbal note-taking ability?
That I'm not sure about. I've never, it might.
With the iPhone, you can do that.
Yeah, the Microsoft Office apps do have voice recognition features built into them. I've never used it, so I can't really comment on it. And so it just basically printed my little Microsoft Word document into a page on my OneNote notebook. Now, like all of the, see how do I get around here without tripping? That's the real challenge to a GGS presentation. So what's interesting now, and we'll find out here in just a moment as soon as I get the video hooked up again, is that since I have this, both the tablet and the do I have the tablet logged in or not? Okay, yeah, it's logged in there, so. So creating a notebook on one device that's signed into your cloud account, it'll automatically get synchronized with the device that's signed into a different cloud account. And so I'm going to see real quick here if it came up on my phone. Should have.
Hey, James?
Yes.
On the chat, we got an answer that you can use audio to take notes.
Okay, good.
Well,
That's interesting. The Marcelino's comment was that we got a chat on the YouTube video. So who was the person who sent that?
That was my daughter.
Oh, that was hi, Maria.
Because no, the other one, Sarah.
The other one.
Oh, which one?
The
Sarah.
one in Washington.
The one in Washington.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for bailing me out.
Be careful of things.
Yeah, so yeah, you got that wire right there.
Yeah.
So,
So the iPhone notes can be verbal.
Yeah, you can do verbal.
Yeah,
on
pretty
there.
much everything on the iPhone can
Oh,
be.
she says
So
hi.
my sync isn't working. I'm not sure why at the moment. I'm not gonna worry about it because I'd much rather have you get entertained and you sound like I know what I'm talking about than you look like I don't. So is there so there was a next little point I wanted to get to about differences between OneNote and Evernote. And what that has to do with is something that I tracked down again in my brief research phase for looking up information about note-taking apps for the purposes of doing this presentation. And it turns out that Microsoft, there's a website called OneNote.com, I think. And I can't believe anything other than that has to be a Microsoft website. And so one of the things I was curious about was how portable is information back and forth from OneNote to Evernote, or is it? And so I did a DuckDuckGo search from Evernote to OneNote. And it turns out there's a thing comes up right away. Yeah, OneNote.com is a site that has, among other things, a link for you to download an app that will import your Evernote notes into OneNote. But in addition, this is the part of this that makes me pretty much convinced that this is a Microsoft app. First of all, it's got the Microsoft's OneNote logo. When you scroll down a little ways, OneNote and Evernote, what's the difference? And you notice all the green check marks are on the OneNote side, and the exits, such as they are, and the limitations are on the Evernote side. So this is actually a pretty good, quick little comparison between where one's limited and the other isn't. I don't know if Evernote has a similar page that's where the concentration of green check marks is reversed or not. But if you can't get stuff from OneNote into Evernote, you can certainly get it from Evernote into OneNote. So Microsoft is clearly promoting that. All of these apps have a number of things in common. One, they'll allow you pretty much to keep any information that you want to, and pretty much in any format. For a given format, it might be a little awkward, but one way or another, you can get it into either Evernote or to OneNote. Two, they evolve. Both these apps started off a lot simpler than they are now. And three, it's like everybody who's got a great idea for software wants to ultimately become the 800-pound gorilla in that particular field. So is there a war going on between Evernote and OneNote? I don't think so. There's a lot of people who use both. And if you're, especially at work, if you're a very Microsoft Office centric operation, you're going to use OneNote if you use anything like that at all. So are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
James, will you be sending some of your slides to,
I will make them available, yes.
on the,
Newsletter.
Yeah.
We'll get them on newsletter.
Yeah, they'll twist my arm and make me give up my PowerPoint. Yes. Yeah. Well, and again, I don't have a lot of detailed information here, and that's deliberate. My purpose was to, again, get you the idea that whatever you used to do with a pad of pen, pencil and a pad of paper, you can do now on steroids with a lot of different choices available to you. And there are choices available regardless which platform you want to use. If you do everything on your iPhone, there's stuff there for that. There are versions of both of those apps, OneNote and Evernote, for pretty much every platform that exists except for Linux. Linux is the only platform that neither Microsoft Office nor Evernote serve. And trying to look, I actually had a column on my little chart that said Linux, and it was blank. There was nothing I was looking at that was available on Linux. But there are note-taking apps available on Linux. And like any really robust operating system, which Linux certainly is, and the people who use it are, by and large, people who are devoted to it. Great for them, because it really is a terrific operating system. It just doesn't have the widespread market popularity that either Windows or Mac OS or iOS or Android have. That's its only fallback. This is only real limitation. But there are terrific note-taking apps there as well. They just aren't ones that are cross-platform like some of these others are. So, other questions? Okay, so how much time do we have?
Got a few minutes. Did you do anything with Keep? Google Keep?
No. Marcelino asked, did I do anything with Keep? And the answer is no. The true answer, if I was going to be really honest, is I haven't got any idea what Keep is. But
Keep is it's Google's version of note taking.
okay, so Google has an app called Keep, and no, I did not look at that. Again, I didn't want to go into a lot of depth. I just want to give it a
I
taste.
tried both, and I found OneNote much better. Much better.
Say again, sir.
OneNote is much better than Keep.
So we have one audience member who insists that OneNote is much better than Keep.
But it has more formatting options.
Right.
More formatting options and so forth. So great. The only way to really get into any one of these apps, by the way, it's like anything else. It's like dancing. You can go take a couple lessons, but if you don't go dancing,
Yeah.
you won't learn to dance. You don't learn to dance by taking lessons. By taking lessons, you get it into your head. By going and dancing is where you get it out of your head and into your muscle memory. That's where it belongs in order to enjoy dancing. So same thing metaphorically is true for any program you want to use on the computer, whether it's a web-based app or whether it's an app that's on your computer or on your phone. You have to use it and try it out. And both these apps, OneNote and Evernote, are their websites are infused with lots of tutorial information, and then there's lots of third-party independent tutorial stuff. And again, YouTube is a good place to look for any of that kind of stuff as any place I know. Yes, ma'am.
I'm having a hard time because it says that it's the Microsoft OneNote iPhone is supposed to be free, but then it's asking me for my Visa and my payment method.
I can't comment on that for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not an iPhone user, but and I'm a little surprised because the comment was that a lady says she's looking for OneNote on her iPhone and she's about to get her credit card charged for it. I would hold off on that and not tap anything. Because I'm not sure what the answer to that question is, whether or not it's supposed to be free for.
How big is that app?
That I don't know.
When I looked at Evernote, they said it was 437 kilobytes. Is that big?
437 megabytes, you mean?
No, K.
Okay, bytes. That's small.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, the versions of the apps on the phones, Evernote seems to have pretty much the same functionality. It doesn't depend so much on the platform you're on. It depends on whether you have the paid version or the free version. So if you have the free version of Evernote, for instance, one of the limitations they have is you can only sync between 2 devices. If you want to sync between multiple devices, a number larger than 2, you get the paid version. The paid version is a subscription. It's $20 a month, something I don't know, like that. Yes, Barbara.
I have a question slightly off topic, but somebody mentioned a few meetings ago a website or a system where you could send a very large email through the mail, like a slideshow with 10 megabytes.
That was Steve.
Was that Steve? What was the name of that?
Send mail.
Can you get the microphone, Steve?
Hand me the cable.
Hey, you got a microphone right there. Oh, you want to show
He wants to show. Yeah. So the question has to do with an app for sending what otherwise would be very, very large email attachments.
Yeah,
through
because they won't
email.
send anything over like 5 megabytes.
In general, most of the ways you have of doing something like that involve taking the attachment and not physically attaching it to the email like it would ordinarily be, but saving it somewhere in the cloud and then delivering it from the cloud to the
Yeah,
recipient.
well,
So
I can do Dropbox. That's just.
Dropbox is one way, but
This was supposed to be more direct.
WinZip has a.
It was in the newsletter too.
WinZip has an add-on for email apps that will compress large attachment files and send them separately through a cloud-based server, so that the email contains a link that then the link downloads the attachment from the server. And Steve's looking up. Did you find which one?
Okay, I can check with him later.
Well, here it's coming up.
Oh.
Firefox Send.
Okay, so this is a
Firefox Send. Where's my? Oh.
Get the mic.
Is Firefox and
Is
Chrome the same
Firefox
thing?
Send?
No.
So you type in send, forget all that stuff for now. It's just, you see up there, it's send.firefox.com. It has nothing to do with the browser Firefox. It's just a brand that Mozilla wants to popularize. So it's Firefox Send. It's called Firefox Send, but the web address is send.firefox.com. So you click on that, and you can either log in or not, or sign in or not. The difference is that if you don't sign in, you're limited to 1 gigabyte, and if you do sign in, it's free. That's not megabytes, it's a gigabyte. So a gigabyte obviously is pretty big for a file, very big for a file. So you pick the file to upload. It could be files or one file. And you would go to a file. Let's say it's pictures here. Let's see, you want to do, yeah, let's see here.
Whatever.
Well, whatever, you just upload a file, and you can choose to encrypt it or not. If it's private, you want to encrypt it. If you don't care, don't bother. And you can make it to expire after 1 download if you want to have for protection. Let's say you say it to your doctor. You can protect it, or 1 download or 1 day. It could be any number of downloads, up to 50, 20 or 50 or whatever. You can have it expire after 1 day or 5 minutes, an hour. So if you really want to have it not linger around and be available to anybody else, you can choose those expirations. And they also, by having expiration, then Firefox or Mozilla are not obligated to keep it on their server that long. So it's a temporary saving place rather than having to say have a Dropbox account, save it to the Dropbox, email the recipient the address of that, or share it with them, then call them back, say, did you get that? Because I want to delete it. Here's automatically deleted. So it's the same idea, but it's a lot easier this way. And then you would upload it and it would send. So if I wanted to upload this, here's ready to send. I can either copy the link into, here's the web address right up here for that document.
Okay.
You can copy the link.
And I just have to send the link, email.
Just email the link to them, and you can then send them separately, maybe a text message with a password if there is one. So it's a different channel. So that's send mail or send or Firefox Send.
Great.
How
Thank
much
you.
is that?
It's free.
Great.
And you can, if you sign in, you can get a larger amount of space.
Yeah.
Why they care, I don't know, but they care.
Oh.
Question?
Thank you, because I do slideshows after
Question behind
parties
her.
sometimes, and they're more than will go through email to the participants.
Sorry?
This would be an easy way to send it.
What's this? Okay. Was there a question over there?
Do you know if it's HIPAA compliant?
I can't hear you.
Do you know if it's HIPAA compliant, say for medical files?
I've heard that it is, but you have to Google that, I think.
It says HTTPS.
That's not sufficient.
That's-
HIPAA has to do with,
Security.
HIPAA is a federal statute that mandates certain levels of security and privacy protection for medical records. Among other things, it's Health Insurance Portability and Privacy Act. So that's not the same thing as HTTPS, which is a web protocol. So,
Thank you, James.
one thing I wanted to show you real quick here is that actually the OneNote notebook that I created on the one device did actually finally show up here. So here's my James's presentation folder, and it's got 2 pages, one titled James and one goes the printout. So none of that happened on the laptop. It all got created on the tablet computer, uploaded to my cloud account, and from my cloud account, it automatically downloaded and synced onto the notebook.
Google Notes.
So,
James,
yes, sir. Moment.
I just installed OneNote on my iPhone, no charge.
Okay. Like I said, he installed OneNote on his iPhone at no charge. So We have some iPhone, I think we have some iOS experts here, so
Yeah, OneNote is free.
yeah,
On the iPhone.
it is supposed to be free. And you had a question?
Yeah. Between OneNote and how does the search functionality?
How's the search functionality between Evernote and OneNote? I haven't played with that much, so I can't really give a good personal answer. Both claim to have extensive abilities to do that. Evernote in particular has this feature called tags. Anytime you're tagging something, you're explicitly putting a searchable, like the equivalent of a hashtag in Twitter, onto an item like a page or a note. And so you're improving the searchability, but they both will search textual content. And to a limited extent, I know that OneNote will search handwritten stuff, but it depends on the legibility, how well the OCR works with OneNote. Both they both pride themselves on having extensive search features. So any other questions? So,
One comment, I just noticed that between the iPad and the iPhone apps, some have different functions. The iPad has the write on it, you can't with the iPhone.
Has the, say again?
You can actually scribble, you can.
Oh, handwriting.
Or you use a pencil,
Mhm.
cannot in the iPhone. And the iPhone is a little bit different as far as some of the things it does better than the iPad. And same way with on the.
So the comment, the bottom line I take away from it is that all these apps exist across all these platforms, but at least partly due to the differences in the physical differences in the platforms themselves.
Yeah.
The phone has actually got a much smaller screen. The user interfaces are going to be different, and the functionality can, and in many cases, will differ somewhat. As I said, with Evernote, my understanding about it is that the primary difference in the functionality has to do with whether you have the paid account or not. So, and I'm mentioned in the blurb, we normally go till 9 o'clock, right?
All right,
Or 8:30.
you got a few more minutes.
Does anybody have any general questions that they would like addressed about computers or anything else? I'll give you one or two answers. They'll either answer the question or say I haven't got the faintest idea. So,
You mean you're open for general questions?
Yes.
now? Any old questions?
yes, any old questions?
I have an old question
Okay.
that just happened today, so it's a fairly new question. So I took some photographs of some damaged merchandise that I may have to return. It's in my garage. I thought with my smartphone, I'll just take these pictures and I'll email them to myself.
Mhm.
And then later I can assemble them as attachments, and send to the company. Tried and tried and tried, and it would not send the pictures to my email. But if I sent them to my wife's address, she got the pictures instantly. Is there some reason why, and this is using Gmail, I don't understand it, because I can email to myself, and I get those,
Right.
but that wouldn't send the pictures.
What were you trying to email from? What kind of
The
phone?
smartphone, what is it?
Yeah.
It's a Motorola Smart Play
It's an Android?
4 or something.
Android phone?
Yeah, it's an Android phone.
So the question has to do with a seemingly situation where sending to one email address, the emails and photo attachments coming out of the Android phone arrive at one email address, but they won't arrive at another.
It wouldn't arrive at mine, I presume.
Wouldn't arrive at yours personally. I'm not sure, I would be guessing, because there are a whole lot of steps in the process of getting an email from a source location to a destination location. And it's entirely possible that, for example, that maybe your email account's got some kind of a limitation on attachment sizes that your wife doesn't. Are you both using Gmail or?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's not likely it.
hers is a subset of my account.
I honestly don't have the faintest idea.
Yeah, I don't
What
either,
the
'cause,
problem
I have an idea.
Steve has an idea.
I think the attachment is saved in Google Photos perhaps. And your email attachment is actually sharing a link, which you already have. So then why would they want to send you your own access to your own account you already have access to? That's a guess.
That's possible. So
Makes
one thing
sense.
would be to log into your Gmail account on your phone and go to the Photos app, Google Photos app, which is one of the apps that Google has on the
Yeah, my
website.
phone's supposedly synced, so
Yeah.
maybe if I go to the
So-
cloud and then look in the photos there, they
Yes,
might be there,
it's entirely possible.
and I can attach from there.
You can attach from there or you can download them. Either one.
In other words, the email would be the same thing as hitting the share button on your phone, say, we're sharing a link, or you're sharing an authorized link to the photo.
Yeah, because I touched the gallery button, and there was my pictures in the gallery.
Yeah, that's all local on your phone.
All local on my phone, and you tap one of those, it gets big. And then there's the little share icon.
Yes.
So I tapped on that, and I typed my own address. Nothing, but I put her address in there and bing.
It may be that Google was not bothering to make it an email because it's already got it up in you. So I
I'll
think
check it
Steve's
out.
answer is
I'll
right.
check it out. It's a good
Check
idea.
your Gmail account, check the Photos app through your Gmail account and see
I'll do just
online
that.
and see if it's stored there.
Good idea, I'll try it.
Other questions? Anybody?
Oh, please. Thank you, James. That was great.
Thank you.
Okay, James, you're up.